This Tyson Fury, Deontay Wilder glove controversy is honestly one of the most idiotic things I've ever seen in boxing in over 30 years of watching and following this sport. It really is indicative of how unintelligent, in fact, how dangerously stupid the Deontay Wilder fan base is. Wilder, as I've always said, not an intelligent guy, and as such, birds of a feather flock together. Unintelligent people who are impulsive and are enamored by the trashy world star culture. Those are the kind of individuals who tend to gravitate towards Deontay Wilder. People with dangerously low IQs. And that is why they're coming up with all these absurd theories as to why Deontay Wilder was beaten down and stopped by Tyson Fury in the rematch. I say absurd because this whole glove controversy is to do with the first fight. Now, Tyson Fury didn't hurt Wilder in the first fight. He didn't stop him in the first fight. So why the gloves in that fight matter in the second fight, I've got no idea. But this just shows you how dangerously stupid the Deontay Wilder fan base is. Not all of them, but a very, very sizable percentage of them. They're dangerously stupid. And people are seeing it more now in the wake of Wilder's loss to Fury. There are also some people who are maybe casuals, newer boxing fans, and they've been caught up in the glove controversy simply out of ignorance. Well, I encourage those of you who fit into that category to go over to CSquared Boxing. This is a guy called Carlo, who's been making boxing glove and boxing equipment reviews for a very, very long time. For me, he is the best boxing equipment reviewer on YouTube. Really like his reviews. They're extremely thorough. If I have any criticism of his reviews, they might be a little bit too thorough at times. You know, he really goes in depth and examines every tiny minute detail on the gloves. And he does that with every pair of gloves. I mean, this guy must spend more on boxing gloves than most professional fighters do. I'm scared to even ask him how many pairs of gloves he's got. I thought I was bad when it comes to buying boxing gloves, but this guy's on another level. So yeah, but anyway, his most recent two videos, as you can see from the video titles, he's examining the model of glove that Tyson Fury wore in the first Deontay Wilder fight, which are Everlast MX, and they're in 10-ounce XL. And as you can see from the thumbnail here, oh no, lo and behold, the glove looks floppy. And he shows you in the video how pliable the gloves are, how you can bend your wrist back in them and they flop around very easily. Many fight gloves are like that. You see, there are some people who have been caught up in this glove controversy, believing that there's something to it. And these are people who have never worn a pair of fight gloves before. They've probably got some, stiff IMF foam sparring gloves at home. And they're thinking, my gloves can't do what Fury's gloves did. Oh my God, there's something to this glove conspiracy. No, there's nothing to it. Get a pair of gloves, or get the pair of gloves which Tyson Fury wore, the Everlast MX in 10-ounce XL. And you'll see that they're a very floppy, soft glove. And Carlo demonstrates how even if Fury was able to put his fist further down in the glove, that is of absolutely no benefit. I mean, anybody with 2 brain cells on active duty should be able to figure out that having your fist in this part of the glove rather than up here has absolutely no benefits at all. Now, Jack Reese, who was the referee for that fight, has also spoken out about it. And of course, he says that with the commissions and the inspection and all that kind of stuff, it would have been impossible for Tyson Fury to have messed with the gloves before they were taped up and signed off by the commission. It would have been impossible. And he explains here, the gloves are made of leather and foam padding. They're actually leather and horsehair, but still, they have some foam in them, but primarily horsehair. The versions the gloves that Tyson Fury was wearing, the MX. You can go to the Everlast website and it will tell you it's got horsehair in these gloves. And you can tell a horsehair glove a lot of the time just by looking at it. The form of the glove, you'll be able to tell that it's horsehair rather than foam. Yeah, just by looking at it, because gloves that are primarily horsehair, like these MX, they have this kind of wrinkled, non-uniform shape to them, the horsehair gloves. Whereas the foam gloves are much more uniform in shape and they don't have that, wrinkled look to them. But anyway, Jack Reese points out that, these leather gloves, and very large fighters are wearing them, the amount of force they generate, the gloves get stretched and roughed up very quickly. Again, there's no foul play as people are trying to claim. Of course there's no foul play. Tyson Fury, a huge man, is putting his hands into a pair of Everlast MX, which are a very soft, floppy, pliable glove. And he's got large hands, he's a big guy. And these gloves have horsehair in them. Horsehair is not like foam padding. Horsehair moves around in the glove during a fight. And when you're talking about heavyweights, after a very short amount of time, you can have the foam moving around, the horsehair moving around, the horsehair clumping up with the sweat and all that kind of stuff. And the glove can appear disformed, basically. Yeah, disfigured. That can happen very easily. In fact, I would encourage you to go and watch the Alexander Povetkin Michael Hunter fight, because if you look at Povetkin's gloves, he's wearing the exact same gloves as these, I think. Is he wearing the same? I think he's wearing the same gloves as these. I know Povetkin likes these gloves. He's worn them for several fights before. I think against AJ he wore rival Guerreros. But I think for the Michael Hunter fight, I'm pretty sure he was wearing Everlast MX. And one of his gloves was deformed. And you will find more deformities and unusual shape when it comes to horsehair gloves than you do with foam gloves. So go and have a look at Povetkin Hunter and have a look at one of his gloves. Even from the first round, the glove is deformed. That tends to happen more with the horsehair gloves. And again, that's because of the way the foam is, the horsehair can clump up on the inside of the glove and it can cause the glove to become deformed. Yeah, I mean, back in the days when most boxing gloves were full of horsehair, fighters used to deliberately manipulate the horsehair away from their knuckles before they'd get in the ring. When they're in the dressing room or when they were in the ring, during the preliminary introductions and what have you, the fighters will be trying to push the knuckles on one of their gloves into their palm, or push the palm into the knuckles to get the horsehair away from the knuckles so they could feel the knuckles through the glove more easily and hopefully do more damage. That's the idea. I don't know how strict commissions are now with stopping fighters from doing that, because trust me, horsehair could be manipulated away from the gloves, away from the knuckles quite easily. But there was no evidence of Tyson Fury doing that in the first fight. And I mean, it's irrelevant anyway. The first fight was a draw. Tyson Fury never knocked Wilder out. It's totally irrelevant. In the rematch, Fury was wearing Pathin Sport. Totally different type of glove. They didn't look like horsehair gloves to me. If they did have any horsehair in them, it was certainly underneath a layer of foam, because they have a much more uniform appearance. So, and anyway, horsehair gloves are perfectly legal to use. So that, even that is not an issue. So it's just a case of a bunch of desperate, completely deluded fanboys who are clutching at straws. Their pride has been hurt. They believed in a fantasy, and that fantasy has now been shattered, and they're struggling to cope with it. As I say, Wilder is a reflection of his fan base. He is a very silly, immature, delusional, dangerously unintelligent individual. And that's who he attracts. That's why people are looking around thinking, how can these Wilder fanboys be this stupid? Because they're a reflection of Deontay himself. That's how. Birds of a feather and all that. Anyway, hopefully this is the last video I'm going to have to do on this. I didn't have to do this one, to be fair, but I did want to talk about these particular videos right here because you can get a close-up look. And of course, Carlo, in both of these videos, comes to the same conclusion as anybody who has any sense. And that is that Tyson Fury didn't cheat. There was no foul play. And there was nothing untoward going on there. And this is somebody who actually has a pair of those gloves. Unlike most of these idiotic Wilder fanboys who are screaming foul, they've never put a pair of these gloves on. They didn't even know that it was a pair of Everlast MXs. I think I might have been one of the first people to make a YouTube video telling you exactly what model of gloves they are. Was there anybody before me saying they were Everlast MX? I think I was the first one to say, because I knew instantly what kind of gloves they were. Without looking it up or anything like that, I know straight away, because I'm a bit, a bit of a buffing like that when it comes to boxing gloves. So yeah, go watch these two videos on the CSquared Boxing channel. Share them around. At the end of the day, most of the Deontay Wilder fanboys were clutching at all these straws. They're beyond reach. They're too stupid to be reasoned with. But those people who are just casuals and don't know that much about boxing gloves and boxing in general, it might be useful to show them these videos. So that's what I'll say. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. It's Hatman, I'm out.
Hatman merch is now available. We got t-shirts, vests, hoodies, and more. Just click the link below. Join me on Patreon. I upload a minimum of 2 podcasts every single week, covering a wide variety of controversial topics, as well as live stream Q&A sessions. Take a look on screen right now at some of the podcasts I've produced so far. For just $3 a month, the equivalent of about £2 a month, you get access to all my new podcasts and my entire back catalogue of past podcasts, including my popular Confessions of a Nightclub Bouncer series. You can listen on your computer or on your smartphone or tablet by downloading the Patreon app from the Google Play Store or the App Store for free. The Patreon app also allows you to download each podcast in MP3. For less than the price of a cup of coffee, you get access to dozens of hours of exclusive content. It's easy to sign up, there's no contract, and you can cancel at any time. So come and join our community of free and critical thinkers by signing up with me here on Patreon today.